Okay, we're good. So, welcome back to another episode of the Coaching Code podcast. That's as far as I've got as developing an intro. Do you know, it's like the podcast where you will get this and da 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 da. And I'm like, nah, this is. I don't even know what episode this is anymore. Today I've got Becky in. I've known Becky for a few years now through kind of like previous engagements. She's now one of the Amplifier coaches as well. I'm really buzzing to talk to Becky because there's a lot that I think people, you did a hot seat for the clients inside the Amplifier this week, but I think there's a lot that coaches in general can learn from your approach in the way that you do things, which will become fairly obvious as we move into the conversation. But first, I want to talk about something that I think is really cool, and I think it's cool because when I was at university, I I studied events and hospitality management, right? So essentially, like professional party planning. That was it. Glorified party planning. But we shared a campus with fashion buy-in, fashion design, and all that sort of stuff. And there was just a load of really cool people on that campus. And I didn't realize when I first met you, but it makes a lot of sense now, that your entry into coaching is only the last like 5 years or so. Before that, you were in the fashion industry.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
So talk to us about that, because I've got a sneaky feeling that some of what you do now will definitely have been influenced by your time in the fashion industry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get into that? Was it from uni straight through?
How I got into the fashion industry? Yeah. So I did BTEC actually in fashion as well. I left school at 16 just because, again, as you've probably seen from my Instagram, what I talk about, I didn't fit in at all. As like most people like me, was bullied at school, and I could not wait to get away. So I was like, I'm out of here. I actually always had a dream that I wanted to work in the fashion industry. I had this like creative flair. And all those people laughed at me as well when I said I wanted to work in the fashion industry. So I was a bit like, fuck you.
Yeah. Mate, if there's one way to get me to do something, I'm like, you can't do that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So that just, even though I was incredibly shy and unconfident, I just went and did it anyway. So left everyone. So I didn't know anyone when I went to college and did my BTEC.
Where did you go to college?
In Taunton, like where I am now, actually. So I'm back in like my old town, basically. But yeah, so I went to Taunton, did my BTEC in fashion textiles, and went on to do my degree. Actually had a collection that went down the catwalk at London Graduate Fashion Week as well, you know. Yeah, I got first in my final major, so it's all like, I loved it. Then I ended up going into working in buying, first of all, actually. As a trainee buyer, worked for Primark, did that for about 4 or 5 years, but then ended up hating it, didn't really agree with their ethics and stuff like that. So then I left there, went traveling for 6 months, went New Zealand, Australia, Southeast Asia. That was a really big turning point for me as well, actually. It opened my eyes up a lot.
Yeah.
New different people, different cultures. I would say before that, I was probably a little bit materialistic. And after going traveling, I dropped all that, and it kind of changed me. I don't really care about that kind of stuff anymore. Like,
yeah, particularly that. I mean, I've not done the Asia loop, but I spent a few weeks when I was living in Australia. We did like a 3-week trip around Bali and stuff like that. And straight away, it like puts thing. I think Bali these days is glorified as this like mecca for digital nomads and stuff like that. And I've got my own thoughts on that, and I don't want to go on a rant, but it very much does. When you see what real poverty actually looks like and how happy everybody is and how content with life, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe we've got it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Laos was one of my favourite countries that I visited, but went to Cambodia and stuff. Yeah, and you see, it opens your eyes up completely. So then I came back, and then I ended up, so it took me a while to get a job back in the fashion industry again, to be honest. I was making sheep tags, working in a pub, and selling vintage clothing all in one go. Because I can't sit still either, and I have to be always doing something. In the meantime, I was applying for jobs, but then I got a job at Ted Baker, and ended up working there in the design team as a product developer. Worked my way up to senior product developer, and then became a design system specialist, as they called it. Where I was like,
what is a design systems specialist?
Made up job, basically. It's a made up title. But I was looking at the processes basically, and I had to connect the buying team, the production team, the garment techs, and make sure that everything was going efficiently and effectively within that process. So again, I think this is where like I got a bit of a transferable skills, because I used to have to help people. They would come to me. I also ended up being a bit of a, when people having issues with managers and stuff, they would start to come to me about things. So I think this is where the like, I started like noticing how I like to help people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
That's where all that came from. So yeah, that's my brief, I guess, sum up of my fashion industry. But I did that for about 15 years. That was 9 years at Ted Baker.
I do find it fascinating. My best mate, the guy that was my best man at my wedding, his wife is, I believe, I don't want to butcher, there's no way she's going to listen to this. Sorry, Shelley. I think she's in fashion buying. I know that she had a similar journey. She worked for Misguided at one point, and I know that she didn't agree with a lot of the fast fashion ethics, squeezing people. She's then been working for this independent brand. It's gone really, really well. And she's now on maternity leave. But yeah, it's when I talk to Shelley about it, she tells me stories and I'm like, it blows my mind. Because again, me, that has got the worst. If it's not a band t-shirt or a wrestling t-shirt, I'm probably not wearing. I mean, I've got a fucking Chasing Status t-shirt on now that I got from the gig that I went to last night. Do you know what I mean? So my fashion sense is fucking awful at best. So when you start to realise how much actually goes into it, you're like, holy fuck.
A lot. Yeah.
Mad.
But I think that's, again, like, it taught me, I guess, how to work quickly to deadlines. I can like have a lot going on at the same time and I don't get too stressed, because when you're working in that industry, it's full on. So it's helped me like, manage now with having a lot to do, if that makes sense. And it doesn't
that is something I see a lot of coaches struggle with, is a lot of coaches, I mean, inside the Amplifier and people that I talk to on Instagram every day, they love helping people. They love, some of them, not all of them, are really passionate about training. Some of them are really passionate about food, or like they've all got their own like kind of little niches. But when they take the steps to turn that passion into, okay, this is how I'm going to make a living now, they don't maybe first realize all of the stuff that comes with it. Like we always talk about the coach versus the business owner, and like, unfortunately, you've got to, unless you're in a position, which we're going to come on to about you actually working for somebody else, you have to do all of it, and yeah, it's juggling like it's a balancing act. Keeping all the plates spinning is ridiculous.
Absolutely, I'm lucky enough that my parents are self-employed and they went limited, like when I was growing up and everything. So I used to help them. Like when I was little, do all the invoices, and I've helped my mum do the wages. So I've grown up in that environment as well. And like seeing my dad work like hours, like, going back to work at God knows what time. So I've always been around it. Like, so I was not in any like, I was just like, I know what this is going to be like, and it's fine. So
and you mentioned you worked in hospitality as well, right?
Yeah, I've worked behind. I've been working since I was 13. My first, I was like waitressing, doing cream tea shifts at 13. So
no way. I was paper round at 14, but again, that's what I did before I got into this. 11 years of hospitality, and I'm like, you can't talk to me about work ethic until you've pulled a 14-hour open to close shift in a bar, and it's just fucking mental.
Yeah, I was doing it for uni as well. I was working all through uni, like. I was working in retail, but also in bars and pubs. I've had loads of jobs, like also worked pretty much all for my life. So
I think it's really important. One of the episodes that's going out in this season, I spoke to a guy called Jeff, and he'd worked in airport security, I think it was. But again, customer facing, had to learn customer service, had to learn how to talk to people, had to work with people. And I said on that episode as well, I was like, dealing with drunk people teaches you a lot about how to communicate. It's a fucking nightmare. So what's talk to me then, that's where you start to realize that you've got this passion for helping people. Have you always been into fitness, sports, looking after yourself?
No. So at school I hated like PE, hated it. Again, because I was so shy, and I think as well, and really unconfident in myself. So I used to skive it all the time, like especially when I was in middle school, I used to like skive it, and a bit in upper school as well. Like I think Emma and I did a Instagram live the other week when we were talking about how we used to hide in the hedge from cross country. And I used to join at the back to make it realistic.
Yeah.
But me and my friends as well, like in middle school, we used to go and hide in like the drama like room and like listen to Prodigy and stuff. Like,
Sick.
so definitely was not into it, but it's like that organized, like pushing you into it. Like I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
It's probably in my 20s that I started going to the gym, but I still was a bit, didn't really find my way. It's when I moved up to London actually, and I joined a gym there, and then there was a PT that worked there, and she introduced me to weight training.
Nice.
And that was like, then I was like, oh my God, I love this. And yeah, then I started to research it more and got into it. And then I started like, you know, when you like print out plans from the internet and like you're trying it all out. That's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I was 18. I'd just gone to uni when I first started taking training seriously. And again, like, I didn't even have a printer at uni. I'd fuck going to the library. I remember going on T Nation, right? I don't know if you've ever been on T Nation. It's this blog, like old school bodybuilding blog, and just finding a plan and literally scribbling it down in a notepad. And yeah, I get it. So with obviously the message that I get from a lot of your content with the 90s, noughties, diet culture, etc. You and Maria are very similar. I think I've got a similar like background with the magazines and fucking Kate Moss and all of that sort of thing. Before you discovered the PT, were you very much one of those go to the gym to do cardio? Yeah.
Sweat it out. Yeah, burn as many calories as I can. Try and restrict as much as I can. Yeah, so definitely was like overtraining, under eating, didn't understand food, had a pretty bad relationship with food, to be honest. I had eating disorder when I was younger. It wasn't ever properly diagnosed, but because I've talked to other clients about this actually. Like when you're back then, you used to go to the doctor and like I had to stop my periods and everything. My mum was really worried. I was about 13, 14. And they were like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like,
yes,
and it's like, and it's so many times I've heard that and it's terrible. But yeah, luckily I had a lot of support with my friends and family at that point. So I started to get better, but I still had a really disordered, like guilty, fucked up kind of relationship with food for a long time.
Do you think with that side of things now, I do think there's a shift in the industry over the past couple of years that more people are becoming more, what's a good way to put it, like disordered eating informed, disordered eating aware.
Yeah.
Is that something that you realize now, or when you were in it, were you like, holy, yeah, I'm fucked, even at like 14, 15 years old?
I didn't really understand it. I was just and there was, growing up in that time, there was massive shame around any kind of mental health or or like having any issues seemed like it was really shamed upon. You couldn't talk about it because like I already felt a bit of an outcast, so let alone like discussing any kind of mental issues I was having. It was
Yeah, I get that. Again, I think we were probably very similar at school. I never used to skive PE. I would hate PE. It was one of those, I was like kind of like on the fringes of the, I definitely wasn't one of the cool kids. And if it was like football or anything like that, I'd fucking hate it. The only time I'd like PE was the one term a year where we'd play rugby. And I'd be like, I'm getting my revenge on all you cunts. Like, let's go. But I think we were probably very similar in that sort of sense. So you've worked in the fashion industry. You've discovered you've got this passion for helping people. You're already in the gym and training during this time. What was it? Was there like a catalyst that made you go, I'm done with this and I want to give this whole coaching PT? Like, I know. So in fact, just for context, talk to us about your first stint in the fitness industry. What we spoke about the other day. So basically up to lockdown.
Yeah. Okay. So at the point when I was like leaving the fashion industry, I'd been thinking about it for a couple of years, to be honest, but I wasn't quite sure what exactly I wanted to do. But I can't remember that things just started to fall into place, because I remember people were saying they started seeing like how more confident I was becoming and like what I was doing in the gym. And like, I was like, well, actually, maybe this is something that I could help people with. I don't know what, it just like seemed to like, it just seems to feel right. You're like, maybe this is something I should explore. And then I said, I had my friend who had a business already, and I talked to him, and he was like, do you know what, come in like into my business and I'll teach you the ropes. At that point, I'd done my level 4 nutrition, but I was still finishing up my PT course. So he was teaching me and like, under his wing a little bit about how to run the business. I actually help set his CRM up and everything like that as well. So
no
he started doing things like that.
Fashion and corporate world coming into play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not scared of the system and a spreadsheet. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I helped with that. And then he started to teach me how to coach. And we had like coaching meetings, and then I was starting to like be in that environment and learn a lot from the other coaches that he had. And he would give me subjects to go and research and things like that. So he was really like helpful.
Oh, nice.
In that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm right in thinking it was pretty much a body transformation type. Yeah.
So he was a bodybuilder. He had coached bodybuilders and had like got them titles and things like that. But then he started wanting to help the general public. But it was very much in that kind of bodybuilding way, not as strict, but kind of.
Well, I think that's what it is. Again, I've spoke to maybe 4 people who do the whole, I've got prep clients and lifestyle clients. And I've only ever had 4 actual, in fact, it is 4, and I could name them. I'm not going to, just in case it, but I could name them. And I'm like, I've genuinely asked, like, okay, so you've got these clients, prep clients, lifestyle clients. What are the difference? What are the differences? Like, they were like, well, they all get meal plans. they all get training programs, and they all get a check-in, and they all get this. And so I'm like, okay, so what are the differences? And they're like, well, I'm just a little bit less strict on the lifestyle ones. I'm like, right. Okay. Yeah. I do think it's, I don't know where I sit on that, like on the fence with that argument. Is if you're going to be a prep coach, fucking sick. Genuinely, I think that's mad. The stuff that people can achieve is amazing. Is it right for Gen Pop clients? Don't know.
Yeah.
What was your experience like? So again, you've learned a lot in this company. Is that you being with your background of the sort of stuff, the sort of like life, the sort of like stuff you got brought up in with the noughties, 90s diet culture, then moving into a body transformation company? Where did you personally like sit with that? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I'd say at the start I was very much okay. This is what it needs to be. Like, this is what you do as a coach, and thought that was it. Then I started to guess exploring a little bit more, going like, okay, why does it have to be like this, or why can't we do it this way? And that's where that's how I started to, I guess, carve my own path a little bit and be like, well, do we have to do meal plans, or do we have to be so strict with calories, or what about if that doesn't sit right with people? And I started to explore that a little bit more. But without doing that, I probably wouldn't have known, if that makes sense. So
I mean, I know we touched on it on Wednesday when we spoke about it, but I didn't even know this until Wednesday, but my entry into the fitness industry was the same. I worked for a body transformation company, and I am so grateful that I did, because it taught me a lot about physique manipulation, fat loss, muscle building, training. For somebody that, again, at the time, mate, when I first got into the fitness industry, I was 130 kilos. I'd never seen a single ab, never mind about like 6. It was ridiculous. But being involved in those sorts of rooms and witnessing that sort of feedback and the how to set people up and make these tweaks to achieve this outcome and stuff like that, it was fucking brilliant, because again, it showed me everything that I needed to know, and a lot of it I carried on when I launched my own company. But also something that's really important is it also showed me the bits that I didn't want to do. And it showed me how I didn't want to work. And actually, it was the exact same. People talk about niche all the time, and later on, we're going to talk about who you work with now. But my approach to niche is, well, I worked with everybody, and over time, I just realized who I didn't want to work with. And I almost think that like process of elimination, whether it comes to your service or the people you want to work with, or even your approach on social media, I think it's really important. Is just fucking try it all. And keep the bits that you really like, and the bits that you don't have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people get caught up that they have to know exactly who they're going to work with, or exactly this, or exactly how they work. And it's like, just do it, and then you can navigate it, because unless you try, you don't know.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people get caught up in that?
I suppose because what you see on Instagram as well, like, you have to know your niche, and you have to know this, and you have to know that. And then and we hear so many times that people are scared to start because they feel like they have to get it all together. Same with our clients actually as well. Sometimes have to wait for that perfect circumstance to get started. And it's like, doesn't matter. Like, we're going to navigate that and find out what works, what doesn't work along the way.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And I think I've just realized you know what my stance is. There are so many parallels between coaches and things that coaches do that maybe are maybe a little bit detrimental that like clients also do.
Yeah.
And it's and that you've just nailed something there, is that yes, they want to do it the right way, and that's what they're told, just like clients are told you need to diet in this certain way or you need to do this certain thing to lose weight loss. But I think a lot of it comes down to impatience.
Yeah.
It's like, would you be more successful in the long run if you worked with everybody and figured out who you didn't want to work with and refined your coaching that way? Probably. Is that going to be the fastest way to grow a business, hit 5K months, hit 10K months? Absolutely fucking not. No.
Yeah.
And it's this battle of which one do I do?
Yeah. No, I agree. But again, it's like, cause I like to learn, and I'm like, okay, I like to try things and learning. Like, to me, I'm all about like growing as a person as well. Obviously, like I said on the hot seat, I always believe that we're a work in progress and we need to be working on ourselves and figuring things out. So you have to just try things and see what happens sometimes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, because the guy that you've been working with, some of the stuff that you said on Wednesday fascinates me, and I actually I just selfishly, I just want to know more about it. So we will move to your own mindset coach for sure, because that's an area of this whole mindset / coaching / personal development side of things I've got no fucking idea about. Some of the stuff you were mentioning on whenever it was Wednesday, I was like, don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. Make a note to ask about that. Yeah. Okay, so you worked for this other company. You were learning the ropes. You'd got a lot from it. Then good old lockdown happened.
Yeah, so I was working with him during the lockdown, actually. So I started studying. The January is when I started my course before lockdown. Then I was still working for a bit, and then I got furloughed. Maybe it was the spring, summer. And then that's why I just acted like I was going to work. I was living on my own in a flat in London at that point as well. So to stop myself going absolutely mad, I just absolutely pretended I was going going to work, getting up. I was doing my training in this my tiny little kitchen and stuff like that. So I was like, you can do it anywhere. It's possible if you really want something. And then I started working for him. Then I had to move back down to Somerset as well, because obviously this job, I couldn't afford mortgage on the flat. So I rented out the flat, moved back down to my parents. So it was quite a disruptive time, but luckily because I had someone to go, that's the thing. And then I started to work for him a little bit more at that point. And then started to take on a couple of my own clients.
Nice.
And then I had a few of my own. And then in the following November, is it following November? Yeah, I get my dates a bit mixed up. But anyway, that's when I passed.
Mate, I don't blame you. It's a fucking blur. It's such a weird.
I know it was in November because I asked Snap Fitness, where I was doing my train, when I started working as PT, I actually asked them if I could do, because I had to train someone for my qualification. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do that, so I had a practical, and so I asked them if I could do that in there, because obviously I don't want to upset any of the PTs, and they're like, that's absolutely fine. And then they were approached me afterwards and goes, actually, when you pass, we're after a female PT in here. So I was like, yeah, perfect. So then I got the job in there as soon as I qualified. Everything's just kind of fell into place a little bit, which is...
Was that always the intention? Did you know you wanted to go onto the gym floor?
I thought I should, to get a bit more experience on the gym floor and suss it out again, just to see if it's something that I wanted to do. But as soon as I got on the gym floor, I was like, no, I want to get online as soon as I can.
Yeah, I think that when you said that the other day, I'm like, I'm glad somebody said that, because there's this big narrative at the minute. And I do see the benefits of being on the gym floor.
Yeah.
Of you have to earn your stripes on the gym floor. If you've not done 10,000 sessions, come on, mate. We're meant to be making this more accessible for good people, not harder. And obviously I've got a personal bias because I never did any gym floor. And everyone's like, you have to have done gym floor to be a good coach. And I'm like, well, all my results say differently.
Yeah.
So I did find it interesting when you said that the other day. What I found really interesting is, again, I've got no experience working on the gym floor. Snap Fitness were really good to you. They basically knew that you were there to get busy, to then leave, and they were fine with it.
Yeah, they were really, really good. The manager there was really she just really understanding, and which I know a lot of people don't have that experience. Yeah. I've just been a bit jammy, it sounds like, for all of this, doesn't it?
Hey, mate, I'd rather be lucky than good. Do you know? I'd rather have ridiculously high luck than.
So yes, they were really understanding, and then I was like doing some classes and stuff like that towards my gym rent and things like that. And then I started easing out of there. And even when I was easing out and only had a couple more clients in there to just get through, they were really understanding about that with towards my gym rent and things like that. So yeah, I had it really good. And then yeah, finally left a couple of years ago, like to go fully online.
Nice. And now you're on your own. You're not working for somebody else. It's in the deep end.
In the
Now
deep end.
I've got to do all the business side of things as well as the coaching side of things. So talk to us about, I don't know, maybe the first 3 to 6 months of what that looks like, because I think that's the bit that either makes or breaks coaches.
Yeah, and it's scary. Do you know what? Like I've had like with anyone, I think people don't talk about enough, like the ups and downs, the fear, like the
Yeah.
tears, they're like, can I do this? They're like, waking up in the morning, like feeling sick, going like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Like,
Yeah.
what you need to do is just keep going. Like, if you freak out and stress and then don't do any work, you're just sat there procrastinating and, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very lucky that I'm very like, I might have this fear and this sickness and stress, but I'm like, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm very like, just get through it. If that makes sense. I focus on that rather than, I do catastrophize. Something I work on with my coach actually, like,
Yeah.
so
I think you have to be able to do that. And again, I don't know where it comes from and I don't know why, but well, you know what I'm like. My brain works in very much like decision tree. I see these like almost like logic trees everywhere. And it's like, I'm very quick to explore all the options and figure it out. And like one of the most simple ones that I ever realized was if you are overwhelmed with something, you can shut the fuck up, realize that it's shit and do the work,
yeah.
or you can not do the work. If you don't do the work, that's 100% chance of failure.
Yeah.
At least if you shut the fuck up, realize that it's shit, but do the work anyway, there's a bit of a chance of success. So to me, I'm always like, it's a really logical thing to just be like, okay, this is shit, but I've got to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. And probably if I'm stressed about a certain area, I'd double down on it as well. I'd be like, right, I'm stressed about this, but I'm going to go like full pelt into it because I'm
get it dealt with.
Yeah,
Absolutely, mate. It's I don't know if that is it classed as a trait. I don't know if that's a trait, but it's something that I think I got from my dad instilled from being a young kid. Basically, you get out what you put in, and it's like if you want to, 9 times out of 10, not always. Luck is involved as well, but 9 times out of 10, your input will have a direct correlation to the output. So,
absolutely, yeah. So obviously, like growing up, how I did as well, my parents. I think that's why I was like, well, you just work hard. You just have to get your head down. Doesn't matter if you're stressed about it. Just do it. Like.
So you've mentioned that it was difficult, and again, I think everybody listening to this will relate to that. What did it look like then? So where were you finding clients? What sort of you'd now got free reign to coach people however you wanted.
Yeah. So some of my clients from the gym just went fully online with me. Some of them are still with me now, to be honest. Nice. Like I've got a couple that just stayed with me from the beginning, and then I started going on Instagram. And before joining the mentorship that you were with, I was with another like business coach as well that started to help me. But they got to a point where they just weren't giving me any direction. It was just like, just keep going. I was like, I need like direction on what something's not working, but like tell me what to do. So I got to that point with them, and then I joined the mentorship I can't speak now, mentorship that you were with. But it was finding people on Instagram, messaging people. I think I like put things out on Facebook, on local Facebook, on like next door neighbor, like websites, like all that kind of stuff, like to try and find people. Yeah.
So the next bit that kind of takes us on. The next bit that I want to talk about is what you do really well. And one of the reasons that I want to get you on here is you have built a successful business in pretty much every metric, however you want to measure it, I think anyway, but particularly around things like impact and the work that you're doing with people, it's clear to see. But it doesn't revolve around a physical transformation. It doesn't revolve around a before and after, which again, there's fucking nothing wrong with that. Mine did. Yeah. So I I have no thoughts either way. But something that a lot of people struggle with, a lot of coaches struggle with, again, in the amplifier and people that we're talking to on Instagram, is how do you build a business when you are essentially selling a mindset outcome, which is what you are. So, but before we do that, talk to us a little bit about the type of people that you work with.
Yes. So I work with people that have been affected by 90s noughties diet culture. Basically, it's like past me. People that have maybe struggled with relationship food, relationship with their body, self-confidence, low self-worth, probably a little bit of an outsider as well growing up. So that's like the ideal client. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you sell an outcome? Is there a specific thing that they're all aiming for, that they all want to achieve?
Yes, I guess it's what I talk about again on my Instagram. It's that kind of freedom. And I remember being obsessed with food, and it would just take up every single waking moment of your thoughts. Not only that, comparing yourself to others, always thinking about how do I look, can I wear this, and it just brings you down. And it's like, so I'm selling that, just letting that go and just feeling free, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I'm just thinking, going back to your personal story, I bet that was only accentuated by working in the fashion industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're surrounded by it all the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we know who you work with, and we know what they're essentially trying to achieve. They'll all have their own individual unique goals and stuff like that. And there may well be some fat loss, some body physique change and stuff in there as well. Now, you on social media, you are very much you. You're not one of those people. Sometimes I'll meet a coach in person and I'll be like, hold on, where's Instagram, Becky? but you are essentially that person, a little bit quirky, completely yourself, happy to a bit of self-deprecating humor. You are who you are. How do you convey what you do with the people that you work with through social media when you are, again, you're not using a before and after, you're not doing any of that sort of stuff?
Storytelling is 100% right. If you see my testimonials up, it's the story of the client, what they were struggling with, what we did, and then how they feel now. And it's just taking them through that journey. So I think that's the best way that I sell it. And it's and also my own story of this is how I was. And then people see me on social media going I wish she's really confident now, and she's doing this and doing that. I want that. And it's so as long as you can it's selling the story rather than the before and after pics. And I used to do before and after pics when I first started, because again, I thought that's what I needed to do.
That's what your experience was. Yeah.
Then changing from that, and people tell me oh, I've seen that story, I've seen that client story, and I really connected to that, or that really sounds like me. A lot of what I get is people go I feel like you're talking about me, why not? Because I'm telling all these stories, if that makes sense.
And that all comes from, again, as without using the whole industry corporate language that seems to have fucking infiltrated the industry at the minute. It comes from knowing your perfect client. It comes from knowing who you work with. It comes your avatar, whatever you want to call it. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday in the DMs, and he was I'm struggling with my avatar. I'm I think something that business mentoring has got wrong is it's telling everybody to think about people in this way. And I'm nah, you're talking about human beings.
Yeah.
Let's stop using client, lead, prospect, avatar. It's people. It's and when you remember that this is personal training, personal coaching people, it gets a lot easier. So I would imagine that's a little bit easier for you to do, because like you said, it's you. It's a past version of you.
Absolutely. So I know what I didn't want to see and what I did want to see, at that point. Because comparison is something that my clients struggle with a lot, and myself back then did too. So that's why I try to avoid any kind of competition or comparison, or that's why I don't really do challenges in my coaching either, because I find that if I felt like I was doing rubbish and everyone else was doing great, I would spiral. So it's something that I avoid as well. And that's why I mentioned I share highs and lows in the group and things like that.
And actually, we're going to take a little bit of a detour, because that's really interesting. So I know points that some people make. I don't personally agree with this, but I've heard people talk about not having a community inside your coaching for those reasons. People might compare to other clients and the progress that they're making and that sort of thing. Whereas you avoid comparison, you avoid competition, but you've still got a massive thriving community.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you go? How did you go about forming that community in the first place?
Yeah, it was tough. Like I mentioned before, it's tough to start that community because you just feel like you're talking and no one's replying back and everything. But I just kept going and not give up. And then eventually I got like some clients that then started conversations, and then once you start that going, now I've got a bit of a structure with it, and it's like Monday I send a voice note. Sometimes it's just stuff that's come up for me in the week or something to think about, something to get them like, oh, that's interesting. And then we do highs and lows, like I mentioned, on a Wednesday. And like as I say to the clients, it's important to share the lows because I don't want people to feel like they're the only one struggling.
Yeah.
And my feedback from that is everyone, like the clients, are like, I actually really enjoy that you share the lows, and I don't feel alone.
What are your thoughts on this? Because again, there is there is a bit of a narrative at the minute that you should be. It's like this weird thing in it. You should be relatable to your
Yeah.
clients, but not too relatable. You can't tell them that you're struggling. It's like, nah, like again, you're a human being. What are your thoughts on that?
So I share my lows. Me and Emma share our lows in the group chat. We try not to go too much into detail because we don't want to drop morale and stuff. But again, the clients like it because again, it's relatable and they like to feel like they're not alone.
Yeah.
And as soon as we start sharing our lows, they opened up more. And because again, it's creating that safe space and that they don't feel judged, which is a massive thing for me. I don't want anyone to feel judged. But I've had clients in there now with they're struggling. They're like, I'm like really struggling with this at the moment, really low mood, and they all rally around each other and lift each other up, which is incredible. And I was so proud when I see that. I got really emotional when they start doing that. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, particularly if you're working with, I was going to say people like you, but me as well. If you're working with those like almost like outsiders a little bit, that might be one of the first supportive communities, supportive group of people that actually are invested and actually want to see them win and actually want to see them be successful that they might have ever had.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when I've talked to people like when they've left the program, they're always like, "That community is incredible. You should be really proud that you've created that." That some of them didn't really join in, but they were like, "I felt supported even though I didn't really join in."
Yeah,
Which that to me is like, as long as they feel that, that's all I want.
I think without at risk of sounding a little bit woo-woo, airy-fairy, it is important to feel like you're seen and heard and a part of something. And again, I'm not going to go on a massive fucking rant now about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but that sense of belonging, it's fundamental. It's not like it's not an optional thing. If you really want to get to that highest state of self-actualization and stuff, you need that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
You do need it. Safety in numbers. You need to be a part of something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, every coach I speak to, I'm like, build a community. I don't care how hard it is.
Yeah, you have to just keep going with it. Like it wasn't easy at all. And then when like I remember the time when it's just started like kicking off a little bit in there, and I was like, oh no, this is it. And then like since then they all it's been great.
Yeah, sick. Nice. So what is it? So we know who you work with. We know your kind of like approach to social media and storytelling. And I want to dig a little bit deeper about that. I don't want to talk about the sales side of things, but getting somebody to buy into essentially a mindset outcome rather than a physical outcome. I found in Body and Brain that along the way, when you're actually working with people, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult because they're not getting those fast, consistent physical changes, drops on the scales. It's a little bit harder to measure. It's a little bit harder to notice. Let's talk about inside of your coaching now. What does that look like?
So we don't focus on numerics at all. I don't ask them in their check-ins for anything. I don't ask them to do weekly weigh-ins, weekly measurements, nothing. We want to focus on how they feel. Like a lot of them have come from backgrounds where they have obsessive behavior around scales. The weight will send them into a spiral. Yeah, it's like the diet culture stuff. So I'm like, we're just going to remove that and we're going to focus on how you feel, like how your clothes fit, how you're showing up, like your confidence, your energy, your sleep, like all those kind of things that aren't based on physical aspects, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know there's a lot of coaches out there that will certainly ask those questions in onboarding or check-ins or stuff like that, but then don't do anything with it. So this is essentially your time to flex a little bit now, because I know you've done a lot of work with your own mindset coach. I know that you've, I think I'm right in saying that you've been through or still get therapy as well. So I know that you're very self-aware yourself.
Yeah.
How do you work with people that maybe aren't as far along in their personal development journey as you are, rather than just asking in your check-in form, how do you feel this? Like, do you know what I mean? It's my favorite thing at the minute. It's like, I'm a mindset coach, and it's like, what does that mean? It's like, well, I've got this question in my check-in form that says, rate your mindset on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'm like, sound. And I'm like, what do you do with that if they put like a 4? You just like, I don't know. So
yeah,
outside of the almost, what's a good way? Outside of just the deliverables inside the check-ins and stuff, what does that actually look like? If I was a client and I was working with you, and you've got me set up and I'm going through a bit of a shit time, talk to me about how that actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, like I said, that mindset is a very I guess generic term for so much that can be going on as well. So it's really working with the client to work out exactly what is happening. Like for some of my clients, they might be having like a blocker to I just had speaking to a client actually that was, she's struggling to go to the gym because she's worried about water retention to put on weight. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to jump on it, booked in for a call next week. But with that, for example, I'll be working with her, I wanted to stop weighing for scales because I think that's actually having a detrimental effect. Then I'll start working across reframing around this kind of belief about weight and what that means, and then what the blocker is to stopping her getting to the gym and all this kind of stuff. So it's really diving in deep to the root of the issue. So you have to do that by asking the questions. You have to figure out if there's an emotional aspect, or if there's a blocker. Sometimes it's because they've had comments from people before, and then it's okay, so that's what the blocker is. And then I don't know, but we do a lot of that, reframing exercises, and the identity module works really well with my clients actually as well. It brings up a lot of stuff. And then I'm like, right, that's the sort. And once they even realize what the source is, they're like, oh, that's what's been stopping me. Because I hate toxic positivity. I'm like, do you know what? Sometimes life's shit, and that's okay.
In it, yeah. The optimist in me wants to be positive, but the realist is like, it is okay that things are shit. To be fair, that question wasn't even as a way for you to drop the amplifier stuff in there, but I appreciate that you did. but
so it, and it works.
Well, that's what it is for me, and that's why it's designed that way. Is mindset work, it's a little bit contradictory, because mindset work is not done in the mind. It's done in a conversation or with a pen and paper. There has to actually be some sort of action, or writing things down, or speaking things through, and then some sort of change of behavior off the back of it. And that's where I see a lot of coaches get wrong, is they can regurgitate the top 20 personal development books to people, or they can signpost their clients to a podcast or a video that they've recorded. But how much actual work are you doing when it gets into it? And this is the segue into, I want to know, the amplifier is sick, you use all the stuff with your clients, there we go, that's the end of my bit. I want to know the stuff that you do with this other mindset coach, because that's a little bit that's so far out of my area of knowledge when it comes to mindset. You were mentioning shadow something,
shadow work, and so that's that. It's going to sound a bit woo-woo now, because we do
no, mate, I'm all for it.
And there's a lot actually, because as mentioned, Alex, my partner, he's Buddhist as well, so there's a lot of his influence that comes in as well. He's also high functioning autistic, so there's a lot that could a lot of the experience on that side as well that ties in actually with communication, which is quite good. But so for his work, and I did a lot at the start when I was working through my feelings of anxiety. And again, I try not to label things. I'm not anxiety. You are not your feelings. And it's really important not to label yourself. And it's something I teach my clients as well. So we do things like exploring the emotions. That's one thing we worked on. For example, around anxiety, it's don't push it away, because as soon as you push it away, say, I don't want to feel like this, it can grow and grow. So we do things about how to explore it, how you feel it in the body, which then ties into the Buddhist stuff as well that I learned from Alex. And I've got Buddhist stories that I tell to help visualize.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, which I my clients love it. They're like, I love that story. It's really helped me like visualize my emotion. And
How long does it take to tell the story?
I can tell it quite quickly if you want.
No, mate, no, I'm genuinely, and for people that are watching now, I'm hijacking this. This is now for me. Like, this is very selfish. I don't care. Go.
So, so this is like a story I heard from Alex. And for example, if someone's really struggling with anxiety, this is like a story I tell them. So there was a kingdom, and in that kingdom there was a palace where a king lived. And one day a demon walked into that palace and was like, I need to see the king, I need to see the king. And the guards were like, no, you can't, you need to go away, and like pushed him away. And with that, he grew a bit bigger. He was like, no, I really need to speak to the king, I really need to speak to the king. And they were like, no, you're too disruptive, you need to go away. Again, he grew bigger. He kept saying, I need to see the king. Each time they said no, kept pushing him away, he grew bigger and bigger. The king heard all this commotion and came down and was like, what is going on? Saw the demon and was like, oh, come in. With that little act of kindness, he shrank. And he was like, take a seat. And the demon was like, oh, what's going on? But he shrank again. Another act of kindness. He was like, have a cup of tea. Again, he shrank again. Like each act of kindness that the king showed him, he shrank and shrank and shrank back into a human. So that story, like the demon represents your emotion. And if you keep pushing it away and say, don't want you here, I can't deal with you, it will grow. But if you treat it with some kindness, explore it, say it's okay to be here, it will reduce and you can process it, basically.
No, mate, I love it. I love an analogy, and that's like, obviously it's more than an analogy. I don't know what is there an actual word for it. It's maybe a story. I know it's a story, but I don't know if there's an actual word when you're looking at Buddhism. I don't know. Maybe what's the English, like the English language version is like English lit version would be like a fable, right?
Yeah,
it's a thing that's got a meaning, like whatever. But no, I think that's fascinating, because again, there might be people watching this, coaches that watching this that are body transformation coaches and be like, fuck that, I ain't got time for that. Cool, that's fine. Like, genuinely, there's so many people out there that need all our help, but this is why I wanted to get you on this, is the work that you do with people is really important, and it is very much needed. And there's this I think there's this big divide in the fitness industry of, on one side, we've got, I don't know, what should we call it? The holistic side, which is where I sat, even though I was doing fat loss and that side of things, I still sat across that side. And then we've got the very heavily transformation based side. And I think that everybody on the holistic side has got so much to learn from the transformation based side about holding people accountable, asking difficult questions and not softening the blow when it doesn't need to be softened, and being not strict but direct with, if this is what somebody's signed up for, this is how I'm going to communicate that, and this is what I expected. But I also think that everybody on the transformation side has got a lot to learn from the holistic side as well, about this whole idea of compassion and exploring emotions and the psychology side of things. And I'm like, I sit in the middle and I'm just trying to drag both sides a little bit closer. So if there's people that sit and listen to this stuff and switch off, that's cool. Like, you don't need to do it. But I really do think it works both ways. If we could take things from either side of the industry, I think all of our clients would be better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people that are struggling with that mental health side, like with anxiety and when things like that, stress, overwhelm, it then starts to reflect in like habit patterns, behavioral patterns, choices that they're making, and then it's detrimental to, obviously, emotional eating maybe come into it, things like that. So that's why I teach the clients how to process emotions. There's other techniques that I do as well with how to bring yourself back into the body. Not like full on meditations, but just quick little breathing exercises, or like I call them like regular self check-ins, things like that.
Nice.
To go through.
I think having, and again, at risk of putting at risk of going corporate on it, having whatever you want to call it, a system, a process. These things, bear in mind the resources, tools and techniques that in the amplifier, having things that you can pluck from and go, the clients message you, they're really, really struggling. You can't jump on a call with them there and then. What I found was interesting in whose talk was it at the day? It might have been Nathan's talk.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Nathan's talk. I can't remember. I feel really bad if it's not. I think it was Nathan's talk.
But yeah, I know what you said
about not jumping on a call immediately, so they're not in a heightened state of emotion, letting them kind of process things themselves, so that it makes more sense when they're communicating it. Maybe you shouldn't jump on a call with people immediately, but you do need something to almost like steady the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
So having all of these things that you can pull upon for your clients when they need them, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I usually do that because I usually send them a call link so they have to book in like a bit later. But yeah, I'm always like, practice this now to bring yourself back down, regulate yourself, and then or I put them towards like something in the hub that will help. I'd like do this in the meantime, and then we'll jump on a call and talk.
Yeah. So knowing everything that we know about you now, this is a question that's just come to mind after me ranting about the fitness industry. What's something that you think more coaches need to focus more on? And also, second question, what's something that you think coaches need to worry less about?
Oh, that's a good question. I think people get caught up with, I guess, sometimes thinking that things have to be like everything needs to be like data driven, like when it comes to clients as well. Because like I said, I don't track those metrics with my clients because of how they've been in the past, and we want to get to that freedom level. So I think there's this big thing that we need to track everything, and we don't. Like, sometimes that's not right for each person. So it's very much listen to each client. Like I do have clients that want to weigh themselves, and that's fine. Is that I don't say that they can't. I just have to navigate the clients that it's not good for them to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it completely.
So I think sometimes it's like you don't have to have a set plan for each that work for each client, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't have to force each client into your system of the way of doing things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got some clients that don't even have exercise plans with us, because they don't need it. And I'm like, fine. I've got one of our clients is like doing powerlifting, so she's got a powerlifting coach, and that's fine. Like this, she still wants to work with us, and it's just being able to navigate and adjust to each client. Which you can do if you've got the tools there, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So that's what people need to do, focus less on, worry less about, coaches. So what do they need to do more of?
I guess listen to your clients' needs, and maybe that, if they are struggling with, if they are like, can't get to the gym, for example, it's not maybe that they don't want to, it might be some deeper things going on there. So, when people make excuses, it's like, but why are they making excuses? Don't just go, they're making excuses. Like, get curious with it.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And I think that's probably a decent place to start wrapping this up. Mate, I really enjoy talking to you. You light up massively when you're talking about your clients and the people that you work with and the work that you do. And it's just mint to see. And I want you to keep being, not just because you're an amplifier coach, I want you to keep being successful because I think it is very, very, very much needed. Genuinely, I really do. Right. So last question, same for everybody. Where do people find you? Obviously, this will be on, I believe, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. So I'll put links and stuff below. If people want to go and find you on Instagram, or if you've got somewhere you want to drive people to, just in case there are any non-coaches listening to this, where are they going?
Yeah, Instagram is the best place to get me, and that's _empower_coach.
Buzzing. Right. It's been mint, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers. I will speak to you soon.